Business is booming. Business is booming. Business is booming. We have our faction Hurt Business collecting all the gold at TLC, and we're going to give a TLC rundown as well as speak about the return of the Queen, Charlotte Flair. All coming up in today's episode of WrstlXtra. Stay tuned.
Here on WrstlXtra with your boy Mex. Bro, business is booming. Listen, and we're just for the occasion today. You know, I'm in, he's in. Yeah, they don't call me A-Daz on these UK streets for no reason. You know what I mean? We got to show the people how it's done. It's not only MVP and the rest of the Hurt Business that can look fly in that black suit and the collared tie. You know what I mean? This is how it goes, bro. Yo, what's good?
Mate, the business is booming. We have, like, it's almost complete. And, you know, we are still missing that WWE champion or, women's champion maybe. But right now, business is booming. Things are looking good. We have to look at the positives. You know, like I was saying on my Instagram, months ago, these guys were just in the middle of nowhere, doing nothing. And now they're closing out the year with all the gold. You just love to see it.
It's an absolute madness, bro. And we say it, well, I say it week in, week out, been saying it for months. And as you said, you know, he's grabbed them from obscurity and are now champions. MVP is doing the Lord's work.
Hallelujah.
Come to fruition, praise God.
Amen.
Yo, this is how it goes, bro. MVP's come back, you know, just at Royal Rumble. We heard about a week or so later that he's a producer with WWE. So we just expect him, you know, just to appear every now and again, maybe. But then he had a match. He said it was his last match. Then that turned into like 3 more in like the space of 2 months. And then boom, he starts messing with Bobby Lashley, getting into his ear. Months later, he's challenging for the World Championship, WWE Championship. He becomes the United States champion. Bearing in mind, MVP became the United States champion first. So,
allegedly, but
as well. Well, you know, but he did. Let's be real. And then, you know, his good friend Shelton comes along, and then they manage to persuade Cedric Alexander to come through. And now we have...
Excuse me. Prime Alexander. Prime.
I stand corrected. Prime. I was building up to that, but I stand corrected. Let's not even call him Cedric anymore. Let's just call him Prime from now. So Prime Alexander and Shelton Benjamin, the gold standard. I would say the black and gold standard now. You get me? Our tag team champions, with Bobby Lashley is still United States champion, looking like no one's going to take it away from him anytime soon. Business is booming, and even MVP won a championship as well himself, not in the ring, not pro wrestling, not anything predetermined or anything like that. This guy won a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu championship, bro, on the weekend. #1 guy. I think it's an age group thing more than anything, but yo, these boys are dripping in gold. Raw is black owned. I now call it Black Monday instead of Black Friday. Yo, bro, it is going on right now, and I feel super proud. And I'm just for the occasion for a reason, bro. It's going off.
No, it's going off. We have to celebrate greatness. You know, we make a lot of noise that we don't get things. You know, our guys never reach the top. So when they reach the top, we've got to make noise. We've got to show, you know, the machine that we are supporting these people that you are putting faith into. So, we 100% need to make more noise, in fact, because, they're doing a good job. We want them to stay there. Hopefully, like I say, if Bobby Lashley said something pretty damning on Monday Night Raw, saying that no man alive can take this US championship for me. So he's laid out the gauntlet. Someone may take it, but there may be something bigger for him, depending on how they view Hurt Business. So definitely, you know, looking forward to what they can do. And like I say, when Naomi is healthy, please God,
come on, bro.
MVP just have a little whisper, a respectful whisper in the lady's ear and tell her, come over here, slap that women's championship on her.
Man,
we're really in business.
I thought it can't get any better than this, but you just laid it out just exactly how it can and should get better than this, because Naomi's been missing. She needs something different to do. You know, the glow was great, but I think it may have now, you know, outlasted its tenure. I don't think the WWE heads are, you know, behind that anymore. So it would be the perfect thing for her to come back into and just do something different and show that other side of her that, you know, for a time, especially as part of Team Bad, that we loved about her as well. That more aggressive side to her, that more mean side to her and stuff like that. So, you know, I don't want it to get all stereotypical and her being a mean black woman, but you know, you know, she does it well. It will work. And here's the other thing as well, like with the Hurt Business. Obviously, we've got our other tag team champions, our black tag teams that have done well, are doing well in the Street Profits. Obviously with the New Day for the last however many years it's been, but there is something that is just completely different about the Hurt Business, and I think it definitely appeals to the same thing that we say on the show almost week in, week out. We just want good black wrestlers, and that is all, just good black wrestlers. It's almost like we've got 4 Jonathan Greshams, almost like generic, really good at what they do, and that is all they talk about, and just being good at what they do, not being. And you know what, as much as MVP doesn't necessarily hide the whole fact that it's a black faction, and you know,
it's not spoken about though.
It's not, and that's the brilliant thing. It's not hidden, but it's not spoken about at the same time. So they're not trying to hide it, they're not trying to, you know, skim around it, but at the same time, it's not like, you know, we are black and you must recognize that we are black. Like, it's not national domination, which was great at its time, but we don't want, you know, NOD 2.0. I'm not here for that. I want this. This is great. So the difference between them and the New Day, you know, have their place. Fun loving, all that kind of stuff, and it's absolutely great. It's obviously worked out for them. They are, you know, possibly the biggest and longest running faction in modern times. Of course, with all the stuff that they have outside of WWE as well, you can't condemn their status. And the Street Profits, rising stars, continuing on the rise and winning and defending their championships all the time, and that's great as well. But the Hurt Business are just, I feel as if they're in a different league, and I'm hoping WWE will see that and take that to a next level, or allow MVP and the rest of the guys to go the way that they want to go, and not necessarily the way that WWE think they should go, and not the Vince McMahon way or the WWE way, just a good way.
Which is going to be very hard given the umbrella and the whole writing system in WWE. But I think what's even better about the Hurt Business is that, you know, it is the story that these were forgotten guys. And in some respect, these are guys that had already reached the plateau in their relevant divisions. I mean, arguably Bobby Lashley has never been pushed in that main event scene, and he's been US champion before, you know, in his previous runs and stuff, reached the top of other companies and stuff that he's been involved in, but not in WWE. Shelton Benjamin has done everything in his reach in terms of tag team champion, mid-card level champion across IC and US championship. And of course, Cedric Alexander, Prime Alexander, has reached, you know, the cruiserweight level of being a champion. He's had a match at WrestleMania, you know.
Won the champion at WrestleMania.
Yeah, exactly. So I think these guys had obviously a slow beginning to 2020. And, you know, like you said, when MVP came in, he's just literally plucked these men from whatever rubbish they were involved in before or not involved in.
From catering, plucked them from catering. You know what I mean?
I mean, I was saying on Twitter the other day, I think you saw it, Shelton Benjamin, remember that gimmick he was doing when he came back, like just looking at the camera and smiling and turning his head, and like acting like he some weirdo, bruv. Now,
yeah,
look at Shelton Benjamin. This is where Shelton Benjamin should be, and this is the thing. This isn't, and that's what your comment makes so much sense. It shouldn't be, where WWE should be, because when Evolution came together, and Evolution is, I guess, the closest comparison we have to the Hurt Business. It was Triple H and Ric Flair. So you knew immediately these guys are going to obtain all the gold. They put them with two young guys in Randy Orton and Batista. Those guys got propelled immediately. Like, this with Hurt Business has been building for 6-7 months now, as to get this formed faction and really look like a credible threat. And yeah, they've absolutely knocked it out of the park. Their packaging is brilliant. Aesthetically, their music, the way they carry themselves in the suits and everything. And like we said last week, they've got this young upcomer, scrappy do kind of guy that he looks like he's about to, draw one of them out. But I even like the way MVP is managing that whole situation. Like, he's a bit wild, he's a bit loose, but give him the ball, let him run. He's doing the business. So for now, we won't rein it in. We'll leave him. Shelton, on the other hand, and Bobby Lashley are looking at him like, what's going on here?
All right, young boy. All right, young boy.
But it's being managed well, and it's sitting in such a good place that at any moment they can flip the switch and something mad can happen. So everything is going well. I'm assuming MVP has a very large hand in writing what's going on for Hurt Business, and long may it continue.
And that's the other thing as well. So you're saying about MVP, having a hand in what's going on. There is so many avenues to how this works that just plays to what we've been asking for as Black wrestling fans for a very, very long time. So as you said, the closest comparison we have is Evolution, bro. Like, that is, in the short time that they were together, relatively short time that they were together, they were possibly the most successful. Every single one of them became a champion very quickly. They all had the gold at one point, all of that kind of stuff. I know the Shield came very close to that kind of thing. The New Day at one point, Kofi was champion, and Xavier and Big E were SmackDown Tag Team Champions at the same time. So there is something, but the way it's still awesome now, the way they carry themselves, it's the suits, it's the talk, it's the type of people that they're after. It's what they're there to do. It's not, and again, this ain't to put down the New Day at all. It's not to be funny. It's not to be entertaining necessarily in that respect. It's about winning championships, getting money, and about the business, literally about the business, bro. And that is, for us, definitely is a more credible thing, and something that we haven't seen from any Black stars in WWE past, before ever. So for me, this is it. This is it. And it's perfect that it's MVP, because MVP is probably the only other person that came close to doing something very similar to that in the way, in the way he was packaged, what he was about, and all that type of thing. But now it seems more legit than a brash, cocky guy trying to be something that he wasn't.
Yeah.
Whereas now he's like, right, I've come back. I'm not messing about anymore. So
this is perfect in this role.
Yeah.
I think we discussed before. I never liked MVP's first run. His character, they've always managed somehow to put a Black person in some type of over the top character of I'm balling, I've got money, or crime time. I'm a gangster, or I'm just a swag guy that dances and wears cool clothes. We just have 4 regular men that want to make money and rise to the top of their field. That is it. That is it, bro. And that's the thing. It shows to you that we can just be simple and still be the best at what we do by being simple, not stereotypical, not extra, not over the top, just simple. And it's crazy. And I mentioned Jonathan Gresham. If you get chance to even have a look at what's happening in ROH with Jonathan Gresham and the Foundation, it's very similar. It's not an all-Black team, but at the same time, it's headed by Jonathan Gresham, who is just about being a great wrestler, and he appears correct, suits everything. He's even got Jay Lethal in all of that type of stuff as well now, and the 2 guys that are with them, like it just works. And it's simple. It's
It's nothing fancy over the top. It's simple. But we could talk about this forever. And you know, the other little thing I want to talk about again is Cedric Alexander. So our friend Sir Wilkins, who kind of put us under pressure to look the way we do today, because he just killed it today with his promo praising the Hurt Business. He mentioned as well about you know, this little attitude that Prime Alexander has, and that obviously it's definitely gonna be a reason for some level of breakup or misunderstanding or something down the line, but there is no real reason why that can't continue for a long time. I don't want to see this group, you know, destroyed by, you know, Royal Rumble or even by WrestleMania. This has to carry on to the minimum of SummerSlam. And if that be the case, if Alexander leaves or if Bobby Lashley feels as if Alexander's been too much, one of them has to win a bigger championship than they have ever had. So whether that be Cedric as, you know, US or Intercontinental Champion when it comes around, or Bobby Lashley as world champion, it has to be that. If there's going to be any breakup, that has to happen first for me. Otherwise, I will feel as if it was all a waste of time.
All for nothing.
Real talk.
I think that's a perfect way to put it. I mean, it is very difficult, like in terms of how you said it, like it would have to be, for me, Cedric wins the world title.
Okay.
Let me explain myself.
Go on.
Because now he is above the CEO of the Hurt Business. He's got the big one. The CEO of the Hurt Business doesn't have that, or has never had it.
Right.
Now, we all know that is very, very unlikely within the next year or so that's ever going to happen. However, if Cedric somehow becomes US champion, you know, these guys drop their tag championships, Bobby Lashley uses it, and then Cedric wins his. And then maybe it's going around backstage that, oh, Cedric's the greatest US champion ever, which then causes some tension between Bobby Lashley and thing. That would be good. That would be brilliant. Sure. Cedric has to come out of this as a star. Maybe he turns and becomes a babyface because these guys get jealous or something like that. But he has to come out of this better off than he went into it a couple months ago.
For sure. And I think that be the case, with Cedric, you know, primarily, secondary, Lashley, getting a bigger championship, you know, getting a world championship. Shelton, not so much, only not because he doesn't deserve it, not because he shouldn't have it, but I think that him and MVP kind of serve as the mentors, the guys that will bring them up and stuff like that. And that's not a bad place to be. Everyone will turn around and say, well, you know, Shelton deserved this ages ago. And I get that. I understand that. It's very similar to Kofi before he won his world championship. You know, everyone like, you know, he deserves to be champion ages ago and all that kind of stuff. And I get that. But I don't think the push to make that happen is the same anymore. I don't think it's needed necessarily for me to then say, okay, now his career was legit. I think just this alone is enough for me to say, okay, all right, we've kind of made amends. It's not the greatest way, but right now it's probably the best. Because at
Shelton, you mean? Sorry,
for Shelton, yeah. Because at the end of the day, you know, we can't see Shelton as a bigger star than or defeating Drew McIntyre, Roman Reigns, you know, guys that are at the top at the moment. So, yeah, man, it has to be Prime Alexander that comes out of this just dripping in. It just doing his thing, bro. There's no other way to put it, man. There's no other way to put it at all. Quickly, how do you feel the match itself at TLC went?
I think it was pretty good. I mean, the annoying thing is that these guys have kind of faced each other so many times in recent weeks, or so many different iterations of singles matches or whatever. But they still kind of pulled out something new. I think it was refreshing to see New Day actually hand out a lot of the beating in that match, because you usually see these matches and the heels just dominate for bare long, and then all of a sudden the faces might win or something like that. But New Day actually came into the fight like, we're the champions, we're better than you, and all of that kind of stuff. And then of course, these guys got the win. And the minute Shelton Benjamin, what was it, the impaler he gave him, and then kind of started backing up to finish it off, I said, Cedric Alexander, this guy has no behavior. I said, how dare you?
Trust me,
how
bro.
dare you? You tag yourself in, Lombard check.
Crazy.
But
crazy. Yeah. And I mean, he even knocked out some teeth as well, didn't it?
Yeah, that was
word. That's crazy. That's crazy.
I think it sunk in when Bobby Lashley came out onto the entranceway with the US Championship and they were celebrating. That's when it sunk in. I said, yeah. That is it. That is the image we wanted to see.
Exactly, bro. Exactly that, man. So, you know, we have to move on, unfortunately, from talking about the greatest faction in wrestling right now. And we'll keep on the whole TLC thing. How did you find the show? What was your favorite parts of the evening? What matches kind of stood out? Who worked? What worked? What didn't work? All that type of
I thought, I mean, my favorites, Sasha and Carmella, I thought was a very good showing again by Sasha Banks. She is just brilliant in ring competitor. And if I'm completely honest, for weeks I've been saying I felt like Carmella is carrying this feud, especially in the promos. She's been very, very good.
She has been.
She's kind of made it think like, okay, this is bigger than it should be, sort of thing.
Right.
Like,
exactly.
Obviously, this is just a filler feud, but Carmella's been doing really well. But that Sasha Banks is just different level. Thank God for Mr. Reginald on the outside for catching Carmella. Like when she dived outside, because that looks nice. But that was pretty good. Reigns versus Kevin Owens, I think, was an absolutely phenomenal TLC match. We rarely see very good singles TLC matches. Usually get like multi-men ones, which are awesome, but this was very good. The story was so good. And Kevin Owens, again, for me, has now thrown his hat into the ring for someone that could possibly win Royal Rumble.
Yep.
Because there's something stone coldish about Kevin Owens that I think that they're trying to push somehow.
They always have for a few years now. Yeah.
That was good. And then of course we can't not talk about a man being set on fire in the middle of the ring, which I know I've seen a lot of people kind of poo-poo it and it was fake. Like, obviously, did you want someone to be really set alive? Like, but yeah, I thought that was good fun anyway. I thought it was decent, and I think this was a decent pay-per-view for all of the nonsense we see on a week-to-week basis. On the actual show that matters, they kind of put it together, and it was decent.
This is very true, and I think that's been happening for the last 6 months. You know, most of the pay-per-views for the last 6 months, they bring it together on the pay-per-view to a degree. This was another one that they did with, you know, Kevin Owens. You know, it was kind of out of nowhere. Kevin Owens starting something with Roman Reigns, but I think now after that match, it's like, okay, it makes complete sense now. He's cemented it in a very good way. It brings back this Kevin Owens that we like, that we want to see, that we need to see. And again, Roman Reigns is being pushed, bro, to do things that people can't argue with. Whereas before it was, they're pushing him too much, and I was one of them at one point. You know, as much as I loved Roman Reigns and felt he should have been on top, I still felt as if we were spoon-fed Roman Reigns or forced-fed Roman Reigns a lot.
The story makes sense. That's why.
Now, oh my word, it's undeniable. It's for anyone to turn around and say they dislike Roman Reigns or they feel in a very similar position as possibly the Roman Reigns of like 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Nah. Yeah. You obviously don't know what wrestling is supposed to be.
You just hate him. That's it.
This is it. Yeah. This definitely really is it. Sasha Banks again, phenomenal. I don't even want to say too much because I'll be here for another hour speaking about how great Sasha Banks is. And yeah, Randy Orton, The Fiend. I'm still not completely into The Fiend as much as everyone wants to be and all that kind of stuff, but that match and the ending and those little things, you know, were brilliant.
Yeah, I'm just reading NK's comment here. Big up NK. Said what Orton did to The Fiend is what Seth should have done to him in Hell in a Cell. Just saying. I mean, I'm still vexed about that because I think that match was really good, and a lot of people don't like that match. But if in a Hell in a Cell no disqualification match, why can't he go to take off a man's head with a sledgehammer?
Right.
Why is that not allowed? Look at Randy Orton. The Inferno match was won before he set him alight.
Exactly.
In the middle of the ring. Exactly. Like, it was already done.
An absolute madness. But the other great thing that happened at TLC, another talking point, something that we're talking about that we probably wouldn't expect to talk about on this show when we're talking about black wrestlers. The Queen is back.
And I will warn anyone that has anything bad to say about Charlotte.
All hail the Queen. Because you know what? We've said it on here, actually, to be honest. You know, we've said it a few times on here that she needed to come back, especially for Raw, the Raw Women's Division, the singles Raw Women's Division, at least. The tag teams kind of, you know, had something going on, but kind of lost its way. And I didn't expect Charlotte to turn up in the tag team division at all, to be honest. I expected her to come and try and, you know, do something to Asuka and go for that World Championship, Raw Women's Championship straight away. But instead, she's come as Asuka's surprise tag team partner and won the Women's Tag Team Championship. I'm not a complete fan of tag teams being thrown together. I'm not that guy. And I think there are more than enough teams within the women's, you know, and obviously it's not just Raw because you can have SmackDown tag teams and NXT tag teams. I think there are a good few who should be pushed towards that, you know, create a great tag team, kind of as they did with the Kabuki Warriors, with the Iconics. They didn't really utilize that correctly, but, you know, they were a legit tag team before they won anything. So, you know, teams like the Riot Squad, even Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke, who are trying to do a thing now, even before Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville. You know, there are other teams out there that, you know, could hold that tag team championship. But the talking point is the Queen is back and WWE needed and needs the Queen. I don't want to hear anything else from anybody else. She is the quintessential female wrestler, and there's no question about it, bro. I'm gonna let you talk because I could talk for days and get upset and get vexed. But you have a calmer demeanor than me, so you go first.
Look, like at the end of the day, like people forget, on top of everything, yes, this is a TV show. Yes, we want to see our favorites. Yes, we want to see new people. But business is business, and business is being run here, right? Since Charlotte has come back since Sunday night, right? All her clips on YouTube has obtained the most views on WWE's page. We're talking anything from 350,000 views up to about 600,000 views at this point. Anything including Charlotte.
Wow.
Roman Reigns had a match with Kevin Owens. They posted clips on that. That's about 200,000.
Wow.
The same Drew McIntyre. That's about 200,000 something.
Wow.
Charlotte Flair is grossing what I'm going to call now Lana numbers, because Lana pulls out 500K plus. And that's for the wrong reasons. That's all for the reality TV kind of stuff they put Lana in. But you cannot blame the only person that their numbers off this back of this current weekend TLC compares with Charlotte is Sasha Banks. And we already know Sasha Banks is the demo goddess, as we call her on this channel.
Of course.
So I don't understand. Charlotte, we know she gets pushed maybe a bit more because of her last name. But you can't tell me she's not of the ability and she don't deserve it. Like, I mean, the one wrong thing I think that I saw floating around this past weekend was that Charlotte is the first Grand Slam champion, because I guess she's including the Divas Championship. Although the likes of Bayley, Sasha, and Asuka are actually, you know, Grand Slam champions as well. So yeah, there's a bit of confusion around that. But, you know, they wouldn't have given her all these titles and call her back every second if they didn't trust her, if they didn't need her to be a ratings draw, spike ratings, deliver great matches, bring the division alive. Look how many women were involved in Raw last night, just because Charlotte was back. They put Charlotte on commentary with the Raw Women's Champion and the tag team champion, Asuka. Asuka's a double champion, by the way. I don't think anyone has really mentioned that because Charlotte Flair is what we're all talking about. Like, it's as simple as, guys, let's not hate. Let's just accept she is that damn good.
For real. And this is the thing. I've always loved Charlotte. Always, you know, I look at ability and all the attributes that you need to have as a professional wrestler in the business, not just technical wrestling skills, not just a pretty face, not just who my dad is so and so, or my uncle is blah blah blah, or my cousin is a rapper. None of that. It's literally everything fits perfectly. There is no one else. And as much as we say Sasha Banks is this perfect female wrestler, no one else is more perfect when it comes to ticking boxes on that paper than Charlotte Flair. No one, because she can do it in the ring, she can do it on the mic. She is, you know, the looks is there enough. You know, she's got that family history, legacy, all these things, bro. And for me, the only thing that I've disliked is the way that WWE have booked this hot potato type of thing for Charlotte to kind of force Charlotte to have whole numbers, you know what I mean? To have numbers in terms of championship reigns and stuff. That's the only thing for me that I've not necessarily been a fan of. But at the same time, at the end of the day, you know, there was someone who made a comment on my page. So the reason why we're talking about this is because someone asked, you know, for us to talk about this from my page.
Comment here. Y'all got to talk about this Charlotte conversation on your IG page.
Exactly. So, but one of the things, you know, a little argument started, and it was one Isaac Cintron. I hope I'm saying your name right. I'm sure I said it wrong, but that was kind of pushing for, you know, the 4 argument for Charlotte Flair, and I was just liking everything that he was saying. But one of the arguments was, you know, that she's generic, and they only, you know, if she doesn't have a championship, then she's irrelevant. Bro, that's a good thing. For me, that's a good thing. If she has not got a championship, then she's irrelevant. That means she's only good enough to be a champion. So how is that a bad thing? I understand, you know, there's all these different things that can be said about Charlotte. The whole daughter of a Flair, and, you know, of Ric Flair and all that kind of stuff. And I get it. But come on, we've seen more than enough sons and daughters of wrestlers who have not made it because they just simply were not good enough. The name was not good enough. Randy Orton, Charlotte Flair are literally the only two who have stood the test of time and come from my father is.
Yeah, that lineage.
It's as simple as that. You can argue Roman Reigns, not even so much The Rock, because they weren't, you know, he was 3rd generation. But, you know, those are the only other 2. So there's 4 of them. But then we've seen Ted DiBiase Jr. gone. Cody Rhodes had to do it himself. There's been more than enough Samoans who have come in and disappeared. You know, some who have done great things, obviously Yokozuna, but some who have done great things, and some, you know, didn't last long enough or whatever it was, or hit a glass ceiling and didn't go any further. And there are so many others. I can't even remember all of them that have not stood the test of time. So it's not just about my dad is. It really isn't. Matches that she's had, match of the year contenders. Something that Isaac as well did say in his argument as well was that, you know, people talk about her not being able to put over people. But if you look at Sasha, Becky, and Bayley, when they went to that next level of their career, when they kind of turned things around, it was during a feud with Charlotte Flair. So you tell me how this woman does not put people over. It doesn't make any sense. She does.
I mean, she dropped her belt in an NXT match against Io Shirai, you know, this year.
Come on. And went down to NXT to elevate NXT, and Rhea Ripley. Unfortunately, yes, we didn't get Rhea Ripley beating Charlotte Flair, which is what we really wanted and what should have really happened. But that's not down to Charlotte Flair. That's down to WWE booking.
We've got NK here. NK said, what I hate about Charlotte's booking is that she always inserted into feuds and programs that don't concern her or benefit her in any way. Prime example, Becky and Ronda. She took Asuka's streak, and I'm still mad at that. You know what?
Not incorrect at all. I agree with that.
Asuka's streak, of course, had to end somewhere. Maybe prematurely it ended. But I think the way everything was being booked at that time, who else was going to end it but Charlotte? You know, and I don't think there's any harm, and I don't think it's hurt Asuka losing to Charlotte. And then with the Becky and Ronda feud, that's frustrating. But I think that's them thinking that's a WWE issue more than a Charlotte issue. That's them thinking we can't put on a women's main event at WrestleMania without Charlotte Flair, which I think is wrong necessarily. Like, you know, Charlotte is headline, she is blockbuster, but Becky deserved that one-on-one spot. You know, we can't deny that. So I think there are some aspects of that being wrong in itself. And I think if they wanted to put Charlotte in there, the angle should have been probably built more towards a 4 horsewoman fatal 4-way main event, because that would have been deserving on all the women for what they've done over that period. Charlotte being inserted into that particular feud was annoying.
And you know what? That's not, you know, that's very true. That's 100%. I think the way WWE book Charlotte has definitely felt forceful a number of times.
Yeah.
Very, very often. Very, very often. And you can't, I don't think you can even argue that, even if you're for Charlotte. But for me, when it comes to that WrestleMania one, I felt as if, as much as Becky's star power was rising, and obviously Ronda was, you know, the star that she already was before even getting into WWE. So on paper, it was making sense.
Yeah.
But I think for me, WWE knew, and I knew that a match between them two was not going to be great. It was not going to be great. You needed to put someone in there who was able to then make the match itself great. So I don't think Charlotte was necessarily needed for star power. I think WWE felt that they needed her for that. But I don't think she was needed for the star power, but more so the match itself, to make sure it was a main event. It was the main event of WrestleMania.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Sorry to cut you. I think we have to remember, especially WWE and not any other company, they pretty much are an entertainment company before anything else. So if they need to put butts in seats in an 80,000 seater stadium, and they've got someone in the match, which is the daughter of Ric Flair, you know, now this is talking about pop culture again, and you know, just selling tickets. Who's on the marquee? Charlotte Flair. Some may say, who's that? Ric Flair's daughter. Some might say, okay, you know, Ronda Rousey. We have to kind of think that, you know, we have to remove the kind of the wrestling side of it when we're talking about WWE anyway. And, you know, they are doing what's best for entertainment. They're doing what's best for business in that sense. And,
you know, and it's like you said, you know, based on the numbers that you just talked about with the YouTube views, based on the fact that, you know, Charlotte Flair seems irrelevant unless she has a championship or is going for a championship. That for me just tells you that the star power that WWE look for when it comes to numbers, bombs on seats, ticket sales of old, because there's no tickets being sold these days. Then, you know, she is that and always will be. So I think it's very similar to a point to the whole Brock Lesnar. When Brock Lesnar first came back, or the second time he came back, you know, it was like, why? But then the numbers were ridiculous every time he came back. It was a high viewed Raw. It was a high grossing pay-per-view, all of these things. And we're still arguing, why is Brock Lesnar coming back?
The people that complain are the ones buying tickets. I'm telling you, like, you're the first in line to buy Raw. You know, you've got all the bots on your computer to make sure you get a ticket, but you then complain. You're the exact reason, and not to say you should boycott your favorite show or anything, but you're the exact reason. You're giving them the data to make the decisions for them. Right.
I
just want to grab this comment. Augie Doggy, appreciate you joining. He said, "Did Ember Moon get the rub after beating Flair? Come on, man."
listen,
argument there, I guess.
There is, but at the same time, you can't then have absolutely everyone who beats one person to become then the biggest star in the company.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, we've had months ago when Naomi defeated both Sasha Banks and Bailey. Or was it? Well, definitely Bailey.
Defeated Bailey, yeah,
and never had a match against her for the women's championship. So there are things like that irk us a little bit, and and will annoy us, and that's right. But at the same time, is that Charlotte Flair or is that WWE?
Yeah, it's probably booking as well.
That's the question. It's booking. It's not the person themselves. It's not like she has a very small range of ability, and then they're pushing her to a level or trying to make her look bigger than she actually is or should be. Or I don't see that. So as much as they may be pushing her a little bit too much, she still makes sense of it. And I think that was the case for Roman Reigns before. At a point for John Cena, I'm sure the argument was there for The Rock at one point. Hulk Hogan at one point as well. Like all of these people who, will get the most amount of criticism because they are pushed to the top and stuff like that, and maybe lack a level of ability to some. But at the same time, the star power is there. It's a money-making machine. It's a money-making business. At the end of the day, it's entertainment, and that's what they're doing.
Last question on Charlotte, because I'm sure we've got to move on. Shantice, big up Shantice. You guys make sure you're watching Talk of Champions on Facebook. Shantice said, so who's turning on who? I'm guessing this is in relation to Asuka or Charlotte.
Yeah, very true.
What do you reckon?
I think the obvious one is Charlotte turning on Asuka because Asuka's holding the championship. But it would actually be very different, and I never even thought about this until I actually read that question. Asuka turning on Charlotte. I don't know what the reason would be for that, but that would be something different. But when I saw I saw a clip of Raw, and they were speaking to Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax. I kind of want to see Shayna go for Asuka, and then Charlotte versus Shayna. That's what I want to see more than Asuka versus Charlotte. We've seen Asuka versus Charlotte. We've seen it.
We have.
It would be nice to see Asuka come out on top. It would. But I think for me, I think in all of this, I just want more to see Shayna Baszler do well as a singles competitor. That's what I want to see. That's what it is.
Shayna is due her flowers before it's too late, honestly.
Shayna, what did Charlotte call it? Shayna Blazer.
yeah, she messed up, innit? She messed up. I wouldn't mind maybe Asuka turning on Charlotte as a more of a paranoia, like, oh, you're getting too big for your boots. You think you're carrying this team. And I'm sure, if Asuka did something with her whole character anyway, if she kind of made it like a bit Joker-ish, and just became a bit crazy, and just started terrorizing everyone, I think that would be very, very interesting too. Shantice, I want that too. There'll be what they wanted was Charlotte and Ronda. Yeah, I guess.
Very true. Very true. Shayna for me has always been what Ronda Rousey should have been. Her star power was amazing. Her in-ring ability was just pushed way too quickly. Obviously, Shayna's done the whole indie thing, and she's got the experience. She's done the NXT thing, so she's more competent and capable in the ring. And that match, I think that match would just be phenomenal, bro. Charlotte versus Shayna would be amazing. Blazer versus Flair would be phenomenal. Right. So we've got to move on. So the other thing I wanted to talk about today, bro, is moving away from the WWE ring to the Impact AEW ring. We have to put them in the same boat, in Impact and AEW together. So what happened last week, Tuesday, is Kenny Omega attacked Rich Swan. The AEW champion attacked the Impact Wrestling champion. Let's go. So we're gonna have a six-man tag team match at a future pay-per-view. I don't think it's the next one.
It's Hard to Kill in January.
And then, but I think Genesis is like the first Impact of the year, and they're making that into the live pay-per-view thing, whatever. Impact on their random pay-per-views. But yeah, Hard to Kill. I think that's mid-January. We're going to see Rich Swann with the Motor City Machine Guns against Kenny Omega, back with the Good Brothers, Carl Anderson, and the big LG, Luke Gallows. Surely, we are going to see Omega versus Swan.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to ask you what you think is going to happen with that, or if that's going to happen, how it's going to happen, where does it go?
Listen, Swan is lying down for that 1, 2, 3. Like, there is no doubt in my mind. If them man get in a ring, a singles competition, Swan is going to get the rub. He's going to look like a star. He is a star, but that belt is gone big, man.
Yeah.
Like, literally, Kenny Omega, he's starting his spree with you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's the AAA champion already, AEW champion, probably the biggest championship he's gonna hold in this spree. He's coming for that Impact Championship. It's written in the stars the minute we saw that he was over there in the first place. So I don't know when it's gonna happen. I'm not very familiar with Impact's timeline for pay-per-views and how often they do that, but it's gonna happen. They might as well print the t-shirts and all of that kind of stuff. Yeah,
no, they're on top with those t-shirts, bro. Yeah, so more than like they've got them ready at Pro Wrestling Tees, Shop AEW. You know what I mean? All of that is ready to go. And
the t-shirts and carve man's name. Carve his name into the belt and everything. It's literally a matter of time. And it was so good, just as a fan of everything I saw in Japan, from probably as way back as 2013, 2014, just to see Carl Anderson and the big LG out here flanking Kenny Omega. It's a matter of time before we see those guys in AEW, as we really should have in the first place. But you know, they got blinded by the WWE money, and then WWE betrayed them.
Usual.
But really and truly, it's all coming together. It just looks brilliant. It's brilliant for wrestling. It's brilliant for us fans. It'll be interesting to see how they manage Kenny Omega as Impact champion, because you don't want it to be a thing where he's kind of just holding the belt ransom, and you know everyone else that was in that main event picture is just within there feuding for nothing, basically. So hopefully they still incorporate those guys with that particular feud, but it's literally a matter of time.
I don't want to sound like the typical black guy that does the whole we should be happy with what we have, but at the same time I'm actually very proud that it's Rich Swann who is going to be the fall guy. It could have been anyone. It could have been Ace Austin, it could have been Eddie Edwards, Eric Young, Sami Callihan, Ken Shamrock. It could have been a whole load of other people, but it's Rich Swann. To be able to say that when Rich Swann has kind of not necessarily been there the whole year because he's been injured, legitimately injured, and all that kind of thing as well. With, you know, what he's been through over the last 2-3 years, it's been, you know, being kicked out of WWE for the reasons and all that kind of stuff, and still being, you know, chastised to some degree. Not so much, you know, nowhere near as bad as it first was, but for him to have that story, and then now be a part of what is, you know, many people are talking, you know, saying it's the biggest thing in wrestling for a very long time. For him to be part of the centerpiece of that is phenomenal, bro. And I think it's well deserved. He has most amount of ability, and you know, he's been running things in Impact since he's held that championship, and he's been a fighting champion. He's done it. He's not done it all, but he's done what he's needed to do, basically. During his reign, the match and the story with Eric Young, he's had this whole thing with Sami Callihan and Ken Shamrock, and of course was involved with the Rascals final match as well. So for him to be part of it, I'm just very interested to see what a Rich Swann versus Kenny Omega match is going to look like. I'm super interested to see how that goes. It's very difficult to predict, but I guess the closest thing that we've had to having an understanding of what it could be would be, say, a match with Omega versus Rey Fenix or Omega versus Ibushi. You know, I mean, and there's probably a couple of us, but I think, you know, as much as he's set to lose, I'm not even complaining. I'm like, okay, cool. Just give me a good match. It's definitely not. It's definitely not. Kofi Kingston versus Brock Lesnar. It's definitely not that.
Nah, they dare not, because after who was it that Kenny Omega in that tournament? He done Rich Swan like that. Not Rich Swan. What's that guy's name?
Sonny Kiss.
Sonny Kiss. Oh my god, when he just gave Sonny Kiss that one wing angel, gave us the face, pinned him. I just thought, this is Brock Lesnar level of squash. But
I guess with that, of course, Sonny Kiss doesn't have the accolades and all the rest behind him and all that kind of stuff. So it was not acceptable, but you know,
it made sense for the story as well.
For sure. But just as long as we don't get a Kofi Lesnar type of match, I'm good. I'm good. Just a good strong match, and I'm good. I know what the outcome's going to be. It has to make sense. What do you think actually the reaction would be if it was Rich Swan that won?
If Rich Swan wins or retains, should we say, I think it either leads to a crisis of confidence for Kenny, or it takes him to a darker place. Maybe the latter, and then I think that would Swan. You know, as long, these guys, this isn't WWE, so we're getting a good story out of it anyway. So as long as the story is good behind it, then it is what it is, man. NK has said here, Bullet Club for life. Swan, give up them belts. Thanos is here. He goes on to say, I'm happy for Swan. This is going to be a historic moment in wrestling, and he's going to be an integral part of it. And Shantice has also said, this loss will set Rich Swan up for so much more. He wins in defeat with this one.
Yeah, for sure. I don't see any other way. I don't think you can see any other way. And you know, it will more depend on what they do with Swan after he loses, to really, you know, let us know how they see him and stuff like that. So, you know, interesting things for Rich Swan. Let's just see what happens. And also as well in Impact, I'm just watching what Moose does. I'm just still kind of like just keeping an eye on what Moose is doing. So yeah, we're there with that. There was one thing I wanted to touch on very quickly. We've not got a lot of time. We still got our stars of the week to do, but there's one thing I want to touch on very quickly. I saw a promo and on NXT. We've not talked about this guy on the show. Probably very, very rarely, very, very rarely, but it's Swerve. Isaiah Swerve Scott. We're seeing this heel turn. We're seeing a bit of a swerve from Swerve. And I'm liking it. I'm digging the whole you know, the offset look, you know, he's looking like, you know, with the metal teeth and the different color hair, and he's got, you know, added a little bit more swagger to his attire, but it's like that, you know, alternative swag. You know what I mean? I'm liking it. And he's obviously in this little bit of a thing with Jake Atlas. So for Swerve, it's been, you know, I've been working hard, I've been doing all this blah blah blah. I've not had my chance, but yet this guy comes out of nowhere, only been here, you know, less than a year, and already is, you know, being pushed to the Cruiserweight Championship and getting more opportunities than me right now. Does this work? Will it work? Again, where does it go?
For me, no. I can't lie. I'm not interested. I felt that, you know, we spoke about Swerve around the times when he was having those great matches with Escobar, and there was one particularly that we pointed out that, okay, Escobar, as brilliant as he is, Swerve needs to win this particular match in the series and become the champion, and it didn't happen. I think he was on TV immediately after that. He's been off TV for a couple of weeks. They've brought him back in the last 2 weeks with this kind of new character following his loss to Atlas, and then, like you said, this backstage interview. I don't maybe right now I'm just not interested. I think he has to climb a lot of mountains before he gets to Escobar's level right now. Even like you said, Atlas has passed him. I don't even know how they're going to manage the Cruiserweight Championship now, because obviously Devlin is back in NXT UK and he's carrying around the Cruiserweight Championship. Right. So it's all a bit funny in that division, but for me, Swerve has taken a couple notches down the rung of the ladder, and I'm so invested in Escobar right now. It's just going to be hard, but I'll let's wait and see where it goes.
Yeah, true. I mean, again, I just noticed it and I thought, okay, I like that there's some distinction now for Swerve. I mean, we were kind of getting there, but we couldn't necessarily understand what it was that he was doing, what his place really was. I think this type of character will help define that a little bit.
Yeah.
But I think you're correct though in saying that he still needs to kind of almost start again in terms of the Cruiserweight division ranking. It kind of needs to start again. Maybe the feud with Atlas will help. And there are other people in this whole thing as well. The Cruiserweight division is looking very chucker, if I'm honest. Like, they don't necessarily know who to work with, who's best, and all the rest of it. And at the same time, as you said, Jordan Devlin is back on NXT UK holding the Cruiserweight Championship. So if there's not some kind of clash between Devlin and Escobar, it would make no sense.
Yeah, exactly. They need to.
So that needs to happen very quickly. Otherwise, we're going into this level of obscurity that is going to be damning more than do any good for anyone really. So we'll see. It is very, very early days for this whole Swerve thing, and they have put a little bit more love into Swerve because he's now on the WWE Network with his podcast. So
yeah,
we'll see what happens.
Yep.
So we come to the end of our show. We've only got a few minutes. We've got to be quick with this, but I've got a feeling we've mentioned who our stars of the week are already. Maybe, possibly, who knows? Yeah. Let's see. So as always, I'll let you kick off first, and then I will go with mine straight after that.
Of course, I don't know who yours is going to be, but I'll just say this anyway. Special shout out to Hurt Business, Prime Alexander, Shelton Benjamin. Absolutely brilliant work over the weekend. So yeah, great. Honorable mention there. My star of the week is going to be Anthony Bowens over on AEW. I just look at the guy go in the ring and he just looks like he's ready to just really break away from this acclaimed stuff. Saying that, I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of acclaimed. I just don't get it. I don't get why Anthony Bowens is in a tag team with a rapper and he doesn't rap. He's not like a hype man. There's no like parity or unity being shown there. And I like my tag teams to be very, unified. The same. Yeah, unified. So I don't really get what they're doing together, so to speak. But Anthony Bowens definitely looks like he could be a breakout star. So and they had their first Dynamite match against SCU and won. So big up Max Caster and Anthony Bowens. But Anthony Bowens is my star of the week.
Okay. So Anthony Bowens, of course, from the New York, New Jersey area, and as you said, man, he's just got this look that is just correct. He's got this look that's correct. He's got this attitude that is very kind of similar to what Cedric is doing at the moment. This kind of very ready. You know what I mean? Type of guy. And it's great. My stars of the week was going to be the acclaimed. So,
really?
I'm going to say Max Caster. But Max Caster for me, I think for me is the star of the team based on character.
Yeah, 100%.
More than anything else. More than anything else, his character is just correct. He's got this, this charisma that is just on top. The raps at the start when he comes in on the entrance have just been phenomenal. I absolutely loved what Frankie Kazarian did last week.
He gave it to him.
He came with it, bro. He was on it. That was amazing. Them two, the Acclaimed winning against SCU, who at the end of the day are, you know, wrestling legends in their own right with the stuff that they've done in their careers. So that's a massive win for them too. It means a lot for their young careers. They are still unbeaten since being signed to AEW. Only one loss in their first match that they had, I believe. So yeah, man, the Acclaimed are. I feel as much as I completely agree with them two as separate guys, not necessarily gelling as characters.
Yeah,
I think in the ring they are very good together.
Yeah.
Their finishing maneuver. I think they have like about 5 finishing maneuvers. You know, together. I think their finishing maneuvers are amazing, and in the ring they're great. Characters, they need to make a little bit more sense of it all. Yeah, Anthony Bowens isn't the most legit hype man ever. It feels like he's trying too hard, definitely. But at the same time, apart from that, both of them I think are doing great things, and I think there is a good future. Hopefully long term, but definitely in the short term, I think AEW is going to have them kind of in the face of the Young Bucks for a little while. Yeah. And I'm hoping that can only be a good thing and not a Scorpio Sky thing. Let me not get started with but anyway, folks, yo, this is it. This is it. Our time is over. Our time is over. This is crazy. So guys, thank you for joining us. We are on the WrestleManiac YouTube channel. We are also on affinityextra.com. You can also download the Affinity app at the Google Play and the App Store for iPhone. And also catch us on a Thursday at 12 GMT British time. I'm not even going to work out the American time right now. So you can listen to us there. But also, obviously, follow us on WrestleManiac.uk on Instagram, WrestleManiac UK on Twitter. And of course, I'm sure you are already following me right here on the Black Wrestling Alliance on Instagram. Folks, our time is over. We have gone over. I'm going to have to beg the station manager to keep us on for another 2 minutes. So I got to go. The chicken's waiting. It's always chicken. The chicken's waiting. I got to go. See you later, folks.
Merry Christmas, guys. Happy New Year.
All that good stuff.
See you later.